everybody. Thank you so much for coming out to WCS Media Day 2018. We're going to start with Patriots. Before we do so, I'd like to make a quick announcement about this year's Jamboree. We're going in conjunction with Rutherford County Schools. It's going to be called the Wilco-Ruco Jamboree, Thursday night, August the 9th, and Friday night, August the 10th. On the 9th, the schedule will be as follows. At 5 o'clock, Fairview will be facing a team still to be announced. Coach Hughes, have we got that set yet?
Cascade?
I think that's correct. Cascade, thank you. 6 o'clock, Summit versus Blackman. 7 o'clock game, Independence versus Laverne. 8 o'clock game, Nolensville versus Centennial. That is Thursday night at Nolensville. Friday night at Oakland will be 5 o'clock game will be Brentwood versus Riverdale. 6 o'clock will be Franklin versus Stewart's Creek. 7 o'clock game is Page versus Siegel. 8 o'clock game is Ravenwood versus Oakland. That is this year's Jamboree, Wilco-Ruco Jamboree. We will have further details on that after Wednesday. I'll be with both sides then, and we'll have everything ironed out for you guys. Any questions on that particular event before we get started? Yes, Joe. I will. I'm going to give you a copy, even better than that. Which one? Which day? Okay, I'll get you a copy. Any questions on the Wilco-Ruco Jamboree? All right. Without further ado, once again, thank you for joining us. 2017 record 8-4, 4-2 in region play. Lost in second round of Summit 27-14, 5A classification. Please welcome to the stage, head coach of the Page Patriots, Charles Rathbone.
Thank you for having us. We do know we're playing Siegel in the Jamboree, and we got a little good news today that their defensive end just transferred to Riverdale, the one that committed to South Carolina, so we're kind of excited about that. Don't have to worry about blocking him. I wanted to take just a minute or two to reflect on, this time last year we were sitting here talking about us moving up to 5A and being one of the smaller schools in 5A and kind of how that's going to affect us and how we're going to adapt and learn to play with those guys. And basically, as we set in the off season, putting together what we need to get better at, it was what we thought it was. The lack of depth that, in the 4 games we lost, we felt like the lack of depth really got us. We were in there with Summit to the end, and we just kind of wore down, and Shelbyville and Ravenwood as well. We just kind of didn't have, the horses to play after our ones got tired and stuff like that. And, we worked hard this off season in the weight room to try to accomplish and close that gap a little bit, and hopefully coming into this year we'll be able to finish some games off and compete. And I tell these guys all the time, it always comes down to the line play. And last year we were pretty good up front. We felt like, but we got to get better. To block guys like Stem and Clevenger and Fairview and some of these guys we're going to blocking this year. We got to be able to play up front and give our quarterback some time and let Burdick and these guys make some plays, and hopefully that's, we're going to be able to close that gap and be able to handle that this year. And if not, then we're going to try hard and we're going to give it our best shot doing so. I've talked to these kids a lot about adversity. That we're going on our 3rd offense coordinator since January. We hired Danny now, and he left the day before we were able to start practice this last Monday. So now we're going back to a guy that we hired there many years ago when I was first the head coach. So we're excited to have him. Not a lot's going to change offensively. We may put a few little wrinkles in here and there. He likes to run the trick play, Coach Hughes. So, maybe some of those things. But, I want to give most of my time to these guys. Like most teenagers nowadays, they know more than us old guys anyway. So I'm going to let them get up here and call from left to right: Sam Kramer, Michael Burdick, Lucas Bowers, and Ian Smith. I know they're pretty nervous, but if y'all have any questions for me, I'll stay up here and take those questions. If not, we'll let you ask those guys questions, and hopefully they say the right thing.
Coach Tom Crager, the Tennessean. This year we'll have 3 games in the month of August. With the heat policy already in place, what's your feelings on playing 3 games in the month of August when there seems to be a big push on heat policy, but yet they're still playing 3 games in the hottest month of the season?
Well, you know, when you start getting deep into those playoffs, you're also playing games in 20-degree weather too. You know, and I think most of these kids will tell you that they'd rather play in a little bit of heat than playing 20-degree weather. So I don't know if there is a perfect solution. You know, unless we can start getting some dome stadiums around our schools or something like that. You know, me personally, I'd rather play in the cold weather. I think, you know, I've talked to these coaches in the past, and all the coaches here in Williamson County, we kind of go above and beyond to protect our kids from the heat acclimation and getting them ready for the heat and pushing them as hard as we can, but also giving them plenty of breaks and water them down. And I think as we become more knowledgeable about those kind of things over the years, we've learned how to deal with them. And we just got to be extra careful and make sure that we're not pushing them to the extreme. And, you know, football's a fine line. You know, you got to be a tough player. You know, once we get to the season at FAIRVIEW, we don't practice full pads. You know, so we will go short pads every day because, you know, these kids, they don't have to come out and prove to me that they're tough guys. You know, if you play football and you're out there during that summer and you come to the workouts, you come to the practices and you're out there running that 100-degree heat, you run those gassers and you're hitting and you're ready to get out there and compete and put yourself out on an island, you know, they're tough enough in my eyes. So that's just kind of one thing that I kind of do to try to keep it off of. And again, the TWSOA, their guideline policies, as long as you follow those, we're safe. But I don't like playing 3 in August, but I don't like starting school on August 10th either. So I miss those days when I was young and we started after Labor Day. But, you know, that's not going to happen. So,
Coach, looking back, what's the biggest adjustment you guys made or had to make going to 5A this last year?
well, you know, to be honest with you, you know, I'm thinking about this on the way over. And, you know, we like being one of the smaller schools in 5A. We were always playing with the Spring Hills and really there was a lot of more rural schools and you really didn't see those kids talking a lot of trash and pushing it to the limit. And that was the biggest adjustment and the biggest surprise to me was just the amount of talk that goes on the fields. And, you know, DERRICK, he played in 5A a couple years ago. He's our biggest talker. And, you know, he was used to it. And the rest of the guys like, man, why are we talking? So why are we talking? And, you know, but the biggest adjustment is obviously the depth. You know, we're just not used to seeing those guys. You know, maybe one team we play, we see a 6'4" type guy. Now you're seeing 2 or 3 of them on every team. And so when we take out our ones and put in a 2, you know, to get some air, then they're going to replace their guy with another 4 or 5, 4 or 6 guy that can run. And it's hard for us to match up against that kind of athlete at this point. The athleticism, that would be the biggest adjustment.
Hey, Coach, D. Woodmore of D1 Highlights, right here. How do you replace a Bubba Johnson and a Jacob Van Lanningham with your offense going into this season?
You know, obviously, we made a switch at quarterback about halfway through the year. Cade Walker did a great job for us. He's a really good athlete. Bubba, you know, I mean, that's a situation where, you know, I'd rather not talk about Bubba. He's not here. We want to talk about guys that want to be here with us. And these guys deserve to have guys around them that want to be here with us. So when, you know, we're going to find another running back that's going to run the ball just as hard. We're going to find a quarterback and receivers and line, but we can adapt, but we're not going to change everything we do just because we lost a good player in Bubba and Jacob. You know, Jacob's obviously walking on at Virginia Tech. But I think Cade will do that. But again, it's going to come down to that offensive line. Are we going to be able to open gaps and open holes and block for our running backs, whoever it is?
Thank you.
2-part question, Coach. First part for you, and then I'm going to ask these guys. First part, how close are you to having the field done?
They're telling us 2 weeks. It'll be done. Not going to have a track done till at the end of August. I know Coach Hughes has been on me to move the game back to Fairview, but we're hoping that doesn't happen. So their promises, and it'll be done at the end of this month.
For you guys, what do you think about playing on the new turf? Is it something you're looking forward to, or?
I think it's going to be really fun, you know, something different. I mean, I've loved turf growing up. The only thing I don't like about it is the beats and the heat, but I mean, that's something we're just going to adjust to.
Honestly, I hate turf because it's just hard and it's hot and the cleats melt, and as a fat guy, it sucks. Just overall, it's awful.
I got mixed emotions about it. You know, they always say you play better on turf, but it hurts a lot worse. So that's my opinion.
It's just really different from what we're used to, but from what everyone's pretty much told me, it's a lot better, like, for the game.
Nothing's better than grass, though. So, but we're very, on that topic, we're very appreciative to have the opportunity to be getting the turf. You know, I mean, we're kind of landlocked out of Page. You know, we've been practicing on a 45-yard width field, you know, waiting on the turf. We're on about a 30-yard field now. So, I mean, whether we like it or not, we're going to love it because we're very, very, very appreciative that that Dr. Looney and the school board, you know, chose to put that in out of Page for us, and you know, we're going to do our best to take care of it.
Coach, what's your preseason schedule? Next week when pads go on, what time? When will you guys be going out?
Oh, we're going to go out 3 to 6 every day, and then if it's too hot and we heat index, we're going to push it back and we'll stay later. But you know, that's part of my belief that we got to get these guys used to that heat and take care of their bodies and practice in it. And you know, we just left practice to come over here, so we still got, you know, 85 other kids over there practicing right now, running those gassers while these guys enjoy doing this. So I mean,
you're
that's
on the morning, kind of a lot of people try to get it
well,
done.
you know, we got 10 coaches on staff, and 8 of them are non-faculty, so they have other jobs. So us going in the morning time is really not an option. You know, they have to go to the real jobs, and so I mean, really, we either go very late or we go 3, and we'll get in the weight room. You know, big believer in the weight room, and we'll get in there from 3 to 3:45, 4 o'clock, just about every day, and then we'll go out on the field about 4 and have them off by 6.
Michael, you know, it's getting ready everything's getting ready to be real now. In one more week, full pads go on. What do you like about that first day in pads, full pads?
I mean, it's great just getting the new guys in, seeing what they can bring to the team, and just everybody bringing in energy. Because I mean, we've been waiting all off season to hit, and 7-on-7s are done, workouts are done, and now everyone gets to put on those pads and hit and see what everyone can do.
And guys, I saw for you guys, what's the one thing you hate about that first day in pads?
You're not really usually that conditioned the first day, like for the heat at least, because like we'll run hills, we'll run gassers, but we're not running with full pads on, so it's a really like hard transition to go 3 hours straight.
Yeah, like Sam said, you're not really like conditioned for the heat yet, so we've been running around for the past month or 2 without pads on, no helmets, and then all of a sudden we're running around with both on, and it just sort of catches you by surprise.
I guess I'm kind of the same way. That's really the only thing that sucks about going full pads. The best part about full pads is checking everybody's oil. You're going to see what everybody's made of. That's the best part of it to me.
You know, I would have thought they would have said the second day of full pads is what they regret the most. So they'll be sore the next day.
What's going to be Page's strength this season? More offensively or defensively? Let's just say defensively first. What's going to be the strength there?
Defense, just from a line standpoint, we got a few guys coming in that have bulked up a lot in the weight room that I think can be some really, really good athletes. I can't say too much about the skill.
I'd say our linebacker group will probably be our strongest defensive position. We have a couple guys that have been playing for 2 or 3 years now. And I'm a linebacker, so I can't really say that. I feel highly confident in our defense. I mean, we have 8 out of our 11 starters returning. You don't have our line, but I mean, we got guys bulking up in the weight room, bulking up and just in general, and can replace those up pretty easily.
I think our D-line is going to surprise a bunch of teams. We have Coach Clue coaching with us from the Titans, and he's been teaching us all the NFL drills, good stuff to do, and I think it's going to improve a lot from last year.
Coach, what are your thoughts?
I think the biggest improvement will be this time last year we were putting in a new defensive system, This will be our second year in that same system. We return all 4 starting linebackers, which, you know, to me, my philosophy is got to stop the run. If we can stop the run, then we give ourselves a chance to win the game. So linebackers and the defensive front. Defense front, we're replacing all new defense front, but they got some valuable playing time last year. I think this year we'll probably be maybe not as big up front, but probably more athletic. So we'll probably be able to move a little bit better up front.
And how'd you talk Coach Klug into joining your staff?
You know, it was he just sent me an email at one point last year. He wanted to volunteer, so he would come once a week on his day off, which was Mondays, and he'd just contribute. He wanted to get involved. You know, his old high school coach made a huge impact in his life, and he just wanted to return the favor to a local program, and he lives right down the road from us. And this year, once he retired from the NFL, he decided he wanted to do it full time, and so he's becoming our full-time defensive line coach. Started today, actually. Any more questions? Thank you all.
I completely forgot to tell you guys, media folks, the most important thing, that our partner and sponsor, Buffalo Wings and Rings, is providing a meal right out that door right there anytime you're ready. Got plenty of food for all you guys, okay? Tonight also would not be possible without Walker Chevrolet. I want to say thanks to those guys, everything they do for the WCS Sports Conference, Adidas, Matthew Team Sports, everything is done tonight. Jamboree, everything is done because of those folks believe so much in what we're trying to do. Next on the clock, head coach of Fairview, Chris Hughes. He'll be joined on stage by the following players: Blake Russell, Kim Harris-Lusk, Trey Bell, Brock Harris, and Jackson Clevenger. Finished 9-4, undefeated season in region play for 3A last year, Region 6 3A. Lost in the quarters to Pearl Cone. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Coach Chris Hughes, Mean Machine.
Chris Hughes, Fairview High School. Been there my whole life. Don't want to tell you how old I am, but I graduated Fairview in '85, and now I'm getting to coach a lot of good kids, and these are some of them. I want to introduce them and tell you about it. From the far left, that's Trey Bell. He's 4'6", 74 pounds, running back, and I might be off on his weight and height a little bit. He's got a lot of speed. There's Brock Harris. That's our biggest change. Brock Harris has transferred in from Hickman County. He will be our starting quarterback this season. Our all-region 6-3A quarterback next to him is number 1, Cam Harris-Lusk, who is an electrifying playmaker and will be moving to wide receiver. And if he plays anything like he did in 7-on-7, he's going to be hard to stop on the outside. Next to him is our other threat on offense is Blake Russell. They also play defensive back. Both are good safeties and corners. Blake Russell's very explosive too. I had a center, Hiller Gray, who is at UTC right now. Couldn't be here today. He is a really good offensive lineman, region offensive lineman of the year. And this guy right here, number 74, is our left tackle. Been my starting left tackle for 3 years. He also won the heavyweight wrestling state championship. His name is Jackson Clevenger. I'm hoping he can block those new defensive linemen for Page, and I think he can. I'm real confident this year that we're going to do very well in our region. Our non-conference schedule is very tough with Greenbrier, Ravenwood, Page, White House Heritage, and Waverly. Waverly, the only school we play that's smaller than us, and they are a powerhouse in 2A, and it is a battle every year. The other schools are a lot bigger than us, but I think it gets us battle tested for the playoffs, because when we play Pearl Cone, I don't want that to be the first time these guys have seen those type of athletes, because Coach Brunetti has them running around everywhere. Looking forward to the chance. You know, our region, we should, if we play like we can, I feel like we can win our region, go deep into the playoffs again. We've got to get over that hurdle of the quarterfinals and end up beating a Pearl Cone or a Giles County or somebody to advance to the semifinals. Fairview's never been there, and that is our goal. So if anybody has any questions, I'll let you know. All these guys know, unlike Paige, we're doing the same thing on offense and defense that we've done for the last 10 years. Familiarity, I imagine everybody on the stage, including Brock, could probably tell you every play, what it is consists of on both sides of the ball. So there's a lot to be said about keeping it simple, and that's what we do. We're just going to line up and go after these guys. We're looking forward to playing our first game of the year on Paige's new turf field. We like turf, so that'll be good. We're 1-0 on turf. We moved the game to Brentwood last year, the only game we've ever played on turf, and we won that game. So if anybody has any questions, I'll take them. If not, we're going to go eat some chicken wings.
Coach,
Yes, sir.
will you take anything you learned from being the mean green machine, whatever, quarterback? Will you take any of that? Any of those plays? Will we see any of those on a Friday night?
I learned that compression shirts are not good for people like me and Jackson Clevenger. And I also learned that our guys are really good at 7-on-7. We do well. We played in the Titans when we competed, lost to Pearl Cone by 1 score. Murfreesboro, Oakland handed us a good whipping. But teams our size, 3A, have a lot of trouble beating us at 7-on-7. And I'm hoping they'll have as much there. And it's passing concepts. It's being able to throw the smash route, read the corner, throw the flat curl, read the outside linebacker. So it's the same concepts that we use. I think these guys just believe more now when I tear them up on scout team that it's legit. Like they get frustrated, but it slows down for them on Friday night.
Quarterback change, how will that go? I mean, Brock, was Brock here before?
Brock was here as a sophomore, transferred to Hickman County, started last year, got some good experience playing quarterback. His family bought a house in Fairview. His father, who grew up with me in Fairview, he's on our coaching staff, and he's been an off and on coach since I started in middle school, I don't remember how many years, 93, I think, 94 in the middle school. He was an assistant there for me for 6 years and has been all over. And Brock came back, and Cam asked me 3 years ago to let him play wide receiver because in the next level, Cam's not quite the prototypical 6'6" quarterback that colleges look for, but as far as a wide receiver and a defensive back, he may be able to make a little hay, and I think this year is going to give him opportunity to showcase his skill on the outside. We've seen what he can do quarterback, and it's a big challenge for him, and you might ask him, but I think he's looking forward to it.
With that said, last year you had Darius James who run up and down the field, very ground-oriented. Will this team air it out a little more, you think?
We're going to run when we can run, and we're going to pass when we can pass. I will say this, we won't rely heavily. Darius carried a load. I've got 2 to 3 running backs, Trey Bell, Logan Nardozzi, Blake and Cam will both play some running back. We have running back by committee, so you're going to see more 8 to 12 carries instead of 24 for one person. Darius was a special athlete. We are going to miss him, but like I said before, you don't fill someone's shoes that's that good. You got to use several pairs of shoes to fill that pair of cleats, and that's what we plan to do. We do miss Darius, and he's doing really well at Dodge City. Got a chance to start. He's in the top 2 running backs. His coach told me he's going to either be the guy or be splitting carries with another person, which is really good news for him too.
Cam, can you just talk about moving to wide receiver and how much you're looking forward to that position change?
I used to always tell coaches, let me play wide receiver. I can catch anything that comes near me, and he finally gave me the chance. And being thrown from Brock, we've always had that connection since we were little, so I think it's going to be a plus.
Tom, I got a side story. I'm going to tell you about the Brock Harris, Cam Harris-Lusk, and I know you know the quarterback from Waverly, Gavin Stanfield, right? All right, Gavin Stanfield was Mr. Football last year. Those 3 guys played together in junior pro, all 3 of them on the same team. And Coach Harris Brock did tell me how good they were, and I was like, well, golly, my wife could have coached that team and won if I had those 3.
Which one of those 3 was quarterback?
Who was it?
Gavin was, and then it changed to me when it came to Waverly, and then Cam left, and we all started at 3 different high schools.
Wow. But when y'all were in junior pro, he started at quarterback?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, Gavin. We're looking forward to playing Waverly, too. That'll be like a homecoming.
Hey, Coach D. Woodmore of D1 Highlights. Speak a little bit about Brock joining your offense. What is some of his skill sets that you have seen and that you like so far?
Brock's real calm. He doesn't get panicked or flustered. You know, things aren't going to go well at quarterback if anybody's played, including me. You know, you're going to have those days where it just don't go well. I think he doesn't get his highs too high and his lows too low. He's centered. He understands what I want. We're working on progression. I tell you, the 7-on-7 was the best thing for him. I'm going to be honest, because we started out against Oakland and we looked like a middle school team. And by the time we got through, we're one score away from Pearl Cone, who played Oakland down to the wire. So I think he just is getting more Chris and trusting Cam. And Cam made some catches. I mean, between him and Blake on the outside, Cam made some catches like Odell Beckham. One hand where the crowd was oohing and ahhing. And the other thing I like about Cam and Blake is they want the challenge. Like when they see who the better player is on the other team, I want him, coach. Those are the kind of kids I like to coach. I think Brock's going to be. Here's the thing: his skill set's different than Cam's. Cam's going to scramble around, make a play, do something. Like I may call a bad play and Cam make me look good. Brock's going to play within the system, and he's going to get the ball to our playmakers, and they're going to make him look good. That makes sense. Okay.
Luke, let me ask you this one. I'm sorry, not Luke, Jackson. Let me ask you this. With now Brock bringing a different skill set of probably more of a pocket passer, has that changed your attitude or your mantra as far as blocking with your offensive line?
Yeah, it was a little hard to block for Cam occasionally because he didn't like to stay in the pocket much. I think with Brock, we're gonna have a little bit of an easier time, but at the same time, we're still gonna give him the protection we gave Cam. So.
Okay, great. And then going back to you real quick, Brock, how has the change been coming in to some of the new guys, some of your new teammates? Have they been pretty welcoming to you?
Yes, sir. I know all of them from when I went to Fairview, but when I got back, pretty much everything was upgraded from Hickman County. Like my line was 10 times bigger, my receivers were way faster. I mean, it's been great just coming back in.
Great, thank you.
Even his coaches were bigger.
Jackson, being a two-sport guy, wrestling, how does wrestling help you on the football field? I'm thinking footwork or anything. How has wrestling helped you become a better football player?
I think that all football players, it gives you more of a responsibility. It gives you more footwork. It just teaches you to be more of an athlete, and it really helped me out throughout the years. I was a slob when I came in freshman year. And I think I really improved, and I think the guys on our O-line that wrestle have really improved. And 90% of our O-line is wrestlers, so I think we really are going to be stronger, quicker, and bigger up front than a lot of teams we face this year. So.
Our toughest kids are wrestlers, and I think it makes you tough. Those one-on-one battles, that's what you face on Friday night, beating the guy in front of you, and that's what Jackson's good at doing. I mean, he wrestles cows for a living. He was at a cow show yesterday, so I don't know if y'all know about Jackson, but if y'all need some beef, he's a man to talk to. Right, Jackson?
Yeah, that's right.
He really does show cows and do cows. He's a big agriculture guy, and just glad to have him one more year on my line. I know that.
Coach, we talked, I remember a year ago about this schedule and how much of a genius you were scheduling Ravenwood at 6-18, but looking back, how much did your guys like the challenge of this? I think you mentioned Waverly's the only team on your roster that's smaller than you guys.
Yeah, I think our guys love the challenge. I think they like the big stage. I think that, and we're right there. Like people don't know, but the Ravenwood teams and the Summits and all that, and the Independents and the Brentwoods and the Nolensvilles, the difference is the amount of kids they have. But when you put the best 11 against their best 11, we're pretty close. Like, that's what I'm saying. Our first group can hang. It's when we have to throw in our sophomore who's 120 and their sophomore who's 220. It's a big difference. But I do think they like the challenge. Not only that, but I think it gets us ready. Like when we played Pearl 2 years ago, I didn't have those guys on my schedule, and it was ugly, in the playoffs, even Stratford. But now, I feel like we're battle tested. We go in and we're like, well, we played Ravenwood, we played Page, we played these teams. We can handle whoever in 3A is thrown at us.
Jackson, I had a chance to check you out. Jackson, I had a chance to check you out earlier this year at the OTA camp, and you did very well, dominated. How's the offseason been for you in improving off of last year?
I think this year, off of the off season, I've discovered that
I need to get better, not only as a football player, but as an athlete. And I've been going to a few more camps and just trying to get out there, try to find a college, just get recruited somewhere. I'd love to play the next level, and just being out there and getting better is what it's all about, and that's what I'm trying to get to.
Keep doing what you're doing. I'm hearing a lot of good stuff, a lot of good chatter about yourself.
Yeah, colleges love the fact that he wrestles and plays football. First thing they ask me is what your GPA and ACT is, and the second thing is does he play other sports. Every college recruiter asks the same two questions, and Jackson's good on every one of those. All right, I guess that's it. Hey, if any of you guys get a chance to come out to Fairview on Friday night, we're the best secret in Williamson County. We'll put on a good show. We got a big yellow jacket and a jumbotron. Y'all come on out. I might even put you up on the screen. Is that a deal? Joe, you want to be on the screen? No.
You got a good concession stand.
Get good concession stand too. All right. Thank you guys for your time. Go Jackets.
Next on the hot seat, Nolensville High School. Nolensville last year pulled off a pretty amazing feat getting into the playoffs without any seniors, and not only that, they won the game in the first round. Joining new head coach Paul Derrick on stage will be Tim Stayskool, Brandon Wharton II, Colton Dooley, Jack McWilliams. Nolensville Knights head coach Paul Derrick.
How's everyone doing? First off, thank you all for being here. Just a little bit about our football team and what we've been up to. You know, starting back to last winter, you know, the boys have been working very, very hard in the weight room, transitioning into spring ball, and then gotten to this point now where it's time to, you know, get out of the 7-on-7 season and play real football. We're very, very excited. We've got a bunch of great kids. I was only allowed to bring 4. These are the 4 that I chose to bring. On the far left there, that's Tim Stayskool. Colton Dooley's next to him, Brandon Wharton, and Jack McWilliams. Tim Stayskool is outside linebacker, tight end for us. He was an all-state player last year, outside linebacker. Colton Dooley plays running back, and he's making the move from outside linebacker to inside linebacker this year. I think everybody knows number 7, Brandon Wharton. He's our quarterback. And then the quarterback of our defense is Jack McWilliams. He does a great job of making all the calls and checks and getting everybody lined up on defense for us. Very, very excited about this year. Did a lot of good things last year. You know, we were only 4-8. Played a very challenging schedule. Of the 4 games we won, we happened to win the right to get into the playoffs and then to win a first-round playoff game. And really, you know, we felt like had a chance and maybe should have won the second one. A lot of positive experiences. A lot of positive experiences last year. But like I tell these guys, this year what held us back most was consistency. So that's been our main focus this year is consistency and trying to get better each and every day. The level that we played at last year is not going to be good enough. Even though we did a lot of good things, the expectations have been raised because of those good things that we did, and that's what, you know, I'm trying to get the football team to understand, and they've done a great job of responding and trying to meet those expectations. So with that, I'll open up the questions for the guys or for myself.
Coach Tom Craig with Tennessee, and this is the first senior class, I believe.
Yes, sir.
How much does that help, and how much does that raise the expectations? I know a year ago when you guys made it to the playoffs, you say, hey, the big thing was, hey, you don't even have a senior in the school. Now there are seniors in the school. I mean, how much does that raise expectations for the school?
Well, I think really, you know, not having any seniors, coaches had to lead. The coaches had to be the example. The coaches had to show them how to do things. Now I think, to answer your question, I think it really helps our football program to have a senior class because now those younger guys in the program have a senior class to look to and to kind of see, you know, how to do things and how to do things the right way and what it takes. But, you know, we're very, very excited about this senior class. This was kind of the year when we made the transition from the other school over to Nolensville. This was kind of the year that we were looking to, first year senior class. I think we got a really good senior class, and very, very excited to see what they can do this year.
Who will call the offense? Who's your offensive coordinator?
Offensive coordinator is Pat Curran. He is coming over from Brentwood High School. He played a lot of different roles over there. He was there for, I believe, 7 or 8 years. He was a defensive coordinator for 2 years, coached outside linebackers, coached defensive backs, coached the quarterbacks this past 2 years, coached receivers 1 year, and he was also the passing game coordinator last year. So I've known Pat a very long time. Actually went to high school with him, known him my whole life. Went to high school together, and then we were roommates in college. So he's a good football coach. He's a good man, and I'm excited that he's a part of our staff.
Brandon, how's the offense changed from last year to this year, or is it pretty much going to be the same basic stuff that you guys run in the past, or has it changed a lot?
No, it's changed a lot, actually.
Not that much.
I mean, last year we kind of rolled out every play, and this year's a lot more explosive too, I think.
Is that also the coach? Is that part of it? The development of linemen over they're older, bigger, stronger.
Well, I think it's just a different philosophy, really. A lot of the stuff we're going to do, there's similar concepts and there's similar schemes, but it's just Coach Curran has a little bit different philosophy than Coach Hester had, and and also part of it was feel like we can throw the ball a little bit more this year because Brandon has worked so hard on his craft, and yeah, our line's going to be a year older, bigger, stronger, fat. I mean, the whole program, really. I mean, last year, that was another issue we had is, playing with just juniors, strength was an issue. Maturity was an issue. Experience was an issue. So, hopefully, having the senior class is going to help us out with that as well this year.
Coach D. Woodmore of D1 Highlights. What's a Coach DERRICK Nolensville team like this year?
We're going to find out, aren't we?
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, what I hope we're going to be like, but number one, I know this for a fact. Our kids are going to play hard. We got good kids. We coach them hard. We love them hard. But effort has never really been an issue at Nolensville High School. As transitioning into being the head coach, I hope you're going to see a team that's disciplined. Number one, next to of course playing hard. And then, we want to run the football, be able to run the football, because you got to be able to run the football, especially, when you get into the playoffs, and you got to stop the run. So, physical, disciplined football team that plays hard.
Just ask one of you players, what's the biggest difference between Coach Derrick and Coach Hester for you guys?
Probably the energy that Coach Derrick brings. I love Coach Hester. He's still one of my favorite guys, but with Coach Derrick, there's a different energy around the team. I'd say the tempo's higher. Energy at practice a lot higher. I think the more change we had in our coaching staff brought a little more energy into the team, and so our practices been a lot better opposed to last year. So that's probably the biggest thing.
I seem a lot like Charlie Milne because they've been together for so long at Ravenwood. But Derrick, he's like a dad figure. Hester, he's always like that head figure, but Derrick, he's like a dad to us, I think. Kind of like somebody we can rely on.
I guess I have a better relationship with Coach Derrick than I did with Coach Hester, so I guess it's beneficial for the defense as a whole. And it's I guess it's just a buzz around the program. It's a little bit higher than it was before.
Jack, talk about for a second. You guys got a taste of the playoffs last year. Is that an opportunity for you guys to learn and go into this 2018 season?
Yeah, I think as a team we learned how to practice, how to play games at a different pace, because most of us, all of us never played varsity game. We played one game, that's about it. But we learned how to play, how to practice, and the playoffs I think matured us a lot and helped us grow as a program and as a team.
And I'll say this, getting to practice 2 extra weeks, that's huge, so that was a big thing, not only to make the playoffs and to win a game, but also, you're getting to develop your players for a couple extra weeks.
Coach, you'll call defense?
Yes, sir.
Who do you look up to? What coaches do you talk to when you have a question? Who do you lean on as a first year head coach?
Well, obviously, Coach Hester would be a good place to start, right? Being with him for 5 years and had a lot of success with him, and I've been around a lot of great coaches. I've been blessed to be able to coach at every level, middle school, high school, and college. So I've been around a lot of great coaches, but Coach Hester would be that guy that I would probably call first, and then you got other other guys like Rick Christophel, who was the head coach at Austin P when I was an assistant coach up there, and Graham Eastman, who was the defensive coordinator, now the head football coach at North Carolina Central. He was when I was at Austin P as a coach and a player. He was there. So I mean, I'm blessed to have a lot of people that I can call and I can rely on. But you know, it's always first person I'm gonna call is Coach Hester, because you know, being with him for 5 years, I really learned from him how to run a program.
Coach, you know, always the questions this year is like key returners, key losses. From a graduation standpoint, now you may have someone move or leave, whatever. You don't have any graduation losses. So
Right.
you have the bulk of your starting
Sure.
lineup back. How much does that help you when everyone's saying, man, we've got to replace the left tackle and the right guard, whereas you guys may not have you really don't have it. You've got everyone back. I mean, the continuity of, hey, they've been together now 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's huge. Not having to worry about replacing anybody is great, but you know, at the same time, we were a grade short last year, so now we gained a grade, and now we're playing on a level playing field with everybody else. So yeah, it was great to have everybody back, but it's also great to have another class in the building now.
Does that allow you guys to add a little more depth to you? I mean, are there some other players, young men, that are going to be stepping up into the limelight, you know, the spotlight this fall?
Sure, we hope so. You know, that was a big emphasis in the spring, and it is right now as well. You know, trying to develop some younger players. And last year we actually played some younger players. We had one freshman, Grant Reeder, started for us on the defensive line, and another one, Zach Larkin, played quite a bit for us as well. So we played some young players last year, and played a lot of sophomores last year, obviously. But yeah, I mean, we're trying to develop as much depth as we can. And that's going to be an ongoing process, you know, no matter what year it is, seniors, no seniors, no matter what. I mean, depth is huge, because football is a game of attrition, and you're going to have injuries. So, you know, but yes, we're definitely trying to develop that depth.
And one last one for Brandon. What's it like having Colton behind you running the rock, running the ball, and pass blocking for you as well?
I love it. This is my boy right here. It's my brother. Nothing else about that. Yeah, it's great.
Anybody else? All right, again, thank y'all for being here. Appreciate everything you do, and go Knights.
Nolensville Knights. Next on the clock, Summit Spartans head coach Brian Coleman. 10-3 last year, 6-0 in region play, lost in the quarterfinals, lost to Beach 21-16 in region 5A. Joining him on stage, Kristen Jolly, Braden Stem, Zach Klaus, and George Odemeglu. Head coach of the Spartans, Brian Coleman.
So guys, thank y'all for being here. I guess the challenge of this year's team is to build off the successes of last year's team. I think that as a football program, we made a few steps forward. You know, region champions and advanced to the third round of the playoffs. So the challenge for these guys is to build off of that success, because it's not going to do us very well this year for that, but they were all played. So, you know, they know what it takes now, I believe, to take that next step forward. I'll introduce the guys. I know Dr. Qualls did, but Christian Jolly, outside linebacker, running back. Braden Stem, defensive line, tight end. Zach Klaus, offensive tackle, defensive end. And George Odemeglu, running back and free safety, possibly now. I'll take any questions y'all have.
Biggest challenge after the season you had? I mean, obviously, like I said, a lot of these guys played, but, you know, lose a great running back, but you had another running back there. But what's the biggest challenge for you guys going into the season?
Offensive line. We lost all 5 of our offensive linemen. I think that's going to be the biggest challenge. Had a great offensive line last year, had 3 rushes over 1,000 yards. That is our biggest challenge right now. I know we've got guys. I mean, we've got guys, but, you know, with very little experience. But it's not like they're not working hard, but that's the challenge for us right now.
Probably obviously the best season in school history, but there hadn't been a lot of success up until the last couple of years. How much does a year like this really give you guys something to grow on?
I believe it does. I mean, the experience is you cannot. I mean, you can't duplicate the third round of the playoffs against Beach. You cannot duplicate that experience that these guys have. And now I guess everything that is as a coaching staff that we've been preaching on what it takes to win, they saw that to fruition. Now they know, okay, this stuff really does work. You know, if we work in the off season, if we work in the weight room, you know, good things will happen. So just things like that.
George, as someone that has to be on camera once in a while and pronounce your last name, say your last name for me.
Odemegwu.
You say it slower?
Odemegwu.
Odemegwu. Thank you.
Hey, George D of D1 Highlights. How are you excited about being the lead back this year, obviously with Ty moving on?
Yes, I am.
And now George, he filled in. Ty got hurt, I think it was week 9 last year. You know, great running back, great kid. George filled in for him, you know, week 10 and through the three rounds of playoffs. So, you know, he's a capable young man, and he's been on that stage now. So just going to be a junior also.
George, talk about your style of what kind of runner you are.
I'm more of a speed back, not really a power back, but I can get in the open field and make moves and score.
Coach, you had the luxury of several good backs last year. Is it going to be more George, or is it going to be still have a duo that you can get a couple 1,000-yard rushers?
Hopefully a duo or three, just because our offense is a wing T offense. You know, a lot of deception and things like that. So in order to get yardage out of George, the two back, the back behind the quarterback, other things have to also be successful. He will be the feature just because of the position he's in. But also, as far as our offense goes, in order for it to be successful, we need some other guys that can also carry the load.
What's the strength this year?
I'd say the front seven on defense. We've got a lot of big guys here. We've got a lot of length, I bet. I don't know, probably 6'2" or above. I don't know if anybody's below 6'2". So definitely the front seven of our defense. And as a team, I'd say the whole defense needs to be our strength.
Coach, we know that, like you just said, the front seven is going to be a major strength, but, a lot of the guys, especially when Ty went out last year in that defensive backfield, they got a little bit more experience than you thought they might. So is that going to be something that's positive for your guys?
Definitely, yes. Matt Zamansky got a lot of experience at corner. Nafis Weldon's going to be at the other corner. Jacob Douglas at the safety position. Really, out of the few games we lost last year, 2 of them, I think he was injured. So he's really the quarterback of our defense and really an unsung hero of the defense. Those guys got some valuable experience in the defensive backfield.
Christian, obviously you are one of the many backs in the backfield on offense, but you're also one of the quarterbacks on defense too, kind of playing that outside linebacker role. So what is it like to know that, you're so heavily relied on, but not maybe getting the attention you deserve because of some of the other guys?
Well, personally, I enjoy the kind of role as leader of the defense. I get to talk to the other kids that play my position and other people that don't really know much of what's going on yet. I feel like that's going to help us out a lot because we're kind of a team that trust each other, and even though I'm not getting all the ultimate attention that some people might think they require or deserve, I mean, our defense as a whole is praised more than I think any other defense, and I feel like as long as our defense is getting the recognition it deserves, me personally, it just comes along with it. So I'm more grateful that we can work together as a team than an individual, because overall our team is going to be what helps win these games.
Christian, this is for all of you. This 2018 season, is there a certain game that you're looking forward to? I mean, obviously, coach talk, you don't want to look too far ahead, but I mean, we are human. Is there a certain game on the calendar that you're looking forward to? I've got one in mind, but I'll let you.
Well, obviously, that's our crosstown rival, and knowing growing up with most of the kids that go there, it's always fun playing them. And this year it's on their turf, so we're gonna be able to go to their field and bring it. I also feel like Shelbyville playing them's gonna be fun because last year they threw a lot on us, too much to be honest. But I feel we played them twice 7-on-7, and they beat us twice. But I feel with real ground and pound football, it's gonna be a fun game to play. So those two, honestly, for me, are gonna be what I'm looking forward to the most.
What about the rest of you guys?
I feel like Springfield will be the one I'm looking forward to the most because we haven't beat them, and last year we lost to them in the fourth quarter and we're ready to get the dub.
I'm on the same page as Brady. I think we come off strong with Springfield, kind of set the tone for the rest of the season, be pretty productive.
Probably week 3 Independence for many reasons, because of crosstown rival and because our quarterback transferred there too, so we can show them what team you should stay with.
Guys, first game of the regular, first game of practice in full pads is just a few days away. What do you like about the first day of full pads? Is there a drill you like, and why?
I like putting the pads on because it's real football. It's not two-hand touch football. It's not only throw the ball. It's running, tackling, getting like actual down. That's real football. That's why I like it. Honestly, I like doing Oklahoma's with our team because I get to go against guys like Zach and Braden, and then some people that are not here like Jonathan, who's a real strong guy, and a bunch of other people. So I think I'm really looking forward to it. I don't like practicing just on it's not the way it's. I don't know.
Agreed.
I just like real football more than two-hand touch football.
I'm looking forward to it to put the pads on and get used to the heat and everything going into the season.
I'm just ready. It's my senior year. Going to go all with it as best as we can.
I'm ready for it. To be better than we were last year and work.
And what do you don't like about the first day of practice? Is there something you don't like, all the running or anything? What don't you like about that first day?
Wearing the pads.
I think just getting used to it, getting back in the kick of how everything goes and flows together.
Just like Zach said, just getting used to it and getting back into it.
Honestly, the heat, it's really hot already, but put the pads on, it's a lot hotter, but it's just something we gotta get used to.
Good. All right. Thank you.
Unless they want to see something, but usually just.
Next up, head coach Matt Kreisky of Centennial. Last year, 4-7, 3-2, lost in the first round to Cane Ridge on Region 6, 6A. Joining him on stage will be Jariel Wilson, Jacob Spears, Sean Hannon, and Joey Gustafson. Matt Kreisky.
How's it going, guys? I know this is one of my favorite things to do, stand up here and talk. I probably won't be up here as long as Coach Coleman. I got 4 great guys up here, Jacob Spears, Jariel Wilson, Sean Hannon, and Joey Gustafson. We expect a lot of leadership out of them this year. They're 4 outstanding young men and seniors for us. They've done a great deal of leading this off season. I feel like we took a step back last year, and that's solely on me and not them. So we did some things different this off season. One of our goals is to rise as one, to come together as a team. Feel like these 4 guys have stepped up and made sure that's happened. So each week, we don't have our goals. We're not saying we're going to go out here and win a state championship. Our goal is to come together as a team and get better each week. So hopefully by week 8, 9, and 10, we're going to be pushing for a playoff spot and competing. We have a very tough schedule, as you know. Our first 3 games are against Ravenwood, Hendersonville, and Independence. Very tough games for us. So, we all have to be on the same page, and I believe these guys are going to lead us in the right direction and get us back on track where we need to be and where this and make the Centennial community proud. Got any questions, guys?
Coach, made the adjustment from 5A to 6A last year. What was the biggest challenge making that switch?
Well, I'll say one of the biggest challenges, our schedule from week to week. Not saying anything about some of the Clarksville schools, but I felt like in my first year, we had, we could make a couple mistakes. We went up to Clarksville Northeast in my first year, and we played terribly, and but we were still able to come out with a win. We couldn't do that this year. When we had a bad game, it was a bad game, and we were going to end up with the loss. So I think that kind of hurt us in changing. It was a huge step for us, but I think these guys are ready to compete this year again in 6A, and so can't wait to see them in action.
Coach, Jerry's had a great career, but he's had a lot of people around him to help out over the last couple of years. Is he, I guess everyone knows about him by now. With what you lost with graduation, who's the people around him that can help make plays on offense?
Well, we got a couple guys that help out. When Jacob Spears sitting right here, he'll be a 3-year starter on the offensive line. Joey Gustafson down there on the end, he'll be starting receiver. We also have Trey Carlton, who will play some. He's moved to receiver this year. He's going to play some receiver for us on offense. We got Zay Pickens, who will spill him some at tailback, and also a new young man we have from Indianapolis, Alex Steele, who's originally from the Franklin area, kin to Centennial great Curtis Steele. So he'll be able to help Jariel out a lot and also allow Jariel Steele to get the reps on offense. Also replacing Trey Stewart will be Grayson Marcel. He'll be a rising junior. He's had an outstanding offseason, had a good preseason. Doing great. He had a great week last week on some 7-on-7, so we're expecting some big things from him this year.
The annual Kreisky Bowl. What kind of bragging rights is on the line in the Kreisky family when you guys play?
I'll be honest with you, it doesn't really get big with us. It's more of I think these guys get more into it than we do. Whenever we played them 7-on-7 at Summit and at Riverdale. When we played them at Riverdale, you could tell the excitement between both teams. Both teams wanted to win for their coach, and it's special. Two brothers going against each other, but it's neat. It created a neat atmosphere out here last year. We're expecting the same type of crowd this year at Riverdale. Hopefully this year, Christmas time, I'll be able to brag in front of the family this year instead of him. He has my daughter running around saying "Go Warriors" all the time just to make me mad.
You going to re-sign that contract next year?
Probably not, to be honest. We're probably going to stick to scrimmaging in the spring and the fall.
Why? It's just too hard for the family, I guess?
I wouldn't say the family. It's just stressful on us. We talk every week. He knows our game plan, offensively, defensively, going in. So that week we couldn't really get into what we do and help each other out, because we're trying to win. So we'll probably just stick into scrimmaging with each other in the fall and spring, moving forward.
Question for you guys, real quick. I know you got the SEAL kid coming back. Basically, grew up here.
Yes.
Jariel, I know you better as Wowo from your days at the Cowboys. Any of the rest of you guys play Cowboy football too? Everybody did, didn't you?
I was actually on Dariel's Triple B team when we went 0-8, didn't win a single game, so I know he's real good now, but we weren't always good, so.
It happens. You still like the Wowo?
Yes, I do. I do indeed.
How? Can you explain the Wowo? How did that come about? How did you get that?
That's a great question. Honestly, that's a mom question.
Is Mom here?
Yes,
she is.
So what happened when you were young?
It did.
Do you know how you got Wowo?
Well, she told me that we were calling my older brother Bobo, and he tried to call me Bobo, and he said Wowo. So that's how that happened.
Good? Thank you, guys. Appreciate y'all having us.
Next up to the stage, Independence Eagles head coach Scott Blade. 2017 went 6-6, 3-2 in playoffs. Second round, lost to Ravenwood. Please welcome to the stage behind me, Coach Scott Blade.
Okay. Thanks for showing up here. Let me introduce my players. To my left is TJ Sheffield. To his left is Nathan Cisco. His left is Colby Logan. And his left is Jake Huner. So we have a good group of kids here. We have a great group of seniors coming back. I'm going to let Jake, why don't you tell them a little bit about our off season, highs, lows, goods and bad.
Off season was pretty good. We all showed up January for early morning workouts. Everybody was grinding in the weight room at 6 a.m. Off season, it just went well. Overall, I thought it was good work. Everybody was getting a lot stronger. Had a lot of kids in the 1,000-point club.
Good. What about the summer, Nathan? How's the summer gone so far?
Summer's been going great. 7-on-7's been going pretty well. Football or workouts are going great as well. Everyone's on the same page, I feel like. So yeah.
Okay. What about coming back on defense, Colby? Why don't you talk about the returning players on defense and how things have been going there?
I'm returning. Jacob's returning. Old safety. Got a middle linebacker returning. A few linemen. That would be pretty good. Some other young guys stepping up. I think we'd be pretty good on defense this year.
Okay, TJ, what about on offense?
On offense, we got me, Isaiah, Collier, of course, and we got 2 quarterbacks this year that both doing pretty well. We also got some young guys stepping up, Brigham and Calvin, so we're going to be pretty good this year. So.
Okay, the offensive line has been a great high point for us this offseason. We like them. They're working hard. It's the biggest one we've probably had in the last 6 years. By Carter Runyon and Jet Katina, both 2-time starters last year as sophomores. Dalen Davis, he was a starter on defense. He's moving over to the offensive side. He'll play some on the defensive side as well. Caleb Lamford, he's going to be a junior. Will play a ton on the defensive tackle side, but he's also will start for us at guard. And then Evan Blackburn will play the center position. So. We also got Andrew Cannon, Trooper Hagan, Ian Fox, Will Manis on the defensive side front line. So, we're really pleased with, like I said, the guys let them speak. We want to use this opportunity to let them speak to you guys more than you want to hear me. But the offseason went real well. The summer's gone real well. We had our typical Navy SEAL day, which was the best we had. It's a team bonding time, team challenge time. Then the 7-on-7s. It's been a grind in the heat, but it's been fun, and we're looking forward to seeing this group work. We'll open it up to questions.
Coach, after the success this program has had over the last couple of years, what did you learn about your team, about your program last year after going, I think, 6-6, back-to-back, a couple state championship
Yeah,
appearances?
complacency. We really just did not continue to attack. And again, as the head coach, the CEO of the program, it falls on me. We didn't continue to tap, and you kind of got away from maybe some of the things, the players, the stuff that made us successful before. We're not overly big. We're not overly talented. We do have kids with special talent, absolutely. We do every year. But for us to win it in 6A and continue moving forward, we have to play as a great team. We did that in the past. I've done it at other places. That will be our recipe. That is our only chance. We're not just going to line up and go, wow. But the way these kids, and we brought some of our best character kids, these are really top-notch human beings. They're the leaders of the team, along with some other guys as well. But for us to get back to the type of team we want to be, we need to play it's easy. They'll play like you played in 15 and 16. No, we need to play as a team, and never more important is that in high school football. You know, those guys that come together, they're usually the ones that do the special stuff.
We talked about the other day, you know, you can have a quarterback rotation. Talk about how that can work, and you know, you've had some experience in the past, but this about how that can work for you guys.
Yeah, there's each quarterback has their own special talents and skill sets and strengths that they bring to the team. So it's up to me and the offense to take advantage of both types of skill sets. But more importantly, it takes pressure off of one guy. And if a kid is, you know, doing struggling for whatever reason, and there's no backup, you know, or second guy to put in, sometimes he's left to his own demons out there. It's a nice situation for the quarterbacks and the rest of the guys to, and again, it embraces our whole philosophy is we ain't going to do this one guy. TJ Sheffield's going to get his name in every paper, and whether he catches 10 balls or he doesn't, he'll make the headlines, but we're going to win, and he'll be the first to tell you that. He'll be the absolute first to tell you that. We're going to win as a team. Nathan Sisko will say the same thing. And both have worked hard. Our whole team has worked hard. And that's what's going to help us. That selfless attitude is what's going to make us or break us this year.
Nathan, having another quarterback there, how much does that help you where you can, you know, talk, you can just, you know, what kind of relationship do you and Ethan have, and does that help you kind of, you know, have someone there pushing each other and talking to each other as friends? Let's talk about that relationship.
Yeah, me and Ethan are like best friends. The better I make him, the better I make myself. So I push him, I help him, I teach him, I mentor him, and as the better he gets, the better I get, because I don't want him to jump out in front of me, and I make him better, and I make myself better.
Coach, you guys lost a very talented all-purpose back in Troy Henderson. Who's kind of stepping up into that role for you guys? It's going to be more of a running back by committee approach this year?
Good question. Yeah, we're actually going to go running back by committee. You know, after a 6-6 year and the previous years before that, you kind of do a little self-evaluation, and every one of these guys, with the exception of Nathan, will be playing both sides. Now, we'll do our best to start 22 guys, but we will be. Colby Logan is one heck of a running back. He hasn't had to play it. We've had other guys back there during his career, but make no mistake about it, he's one heck of a running back. Tyrus Jackson, our starting middle linebacker, he's a heck of a running back. Jack Phillips, he's another starting linebacker. So there's probably 4 guys, and of course TJ will play running. TJ will play everywhere. So it's going to be one of those things, and it all embraces our kind of collective philosophy is everybody's going to do what they got to do to make this team better. And it's starting with these 4 guys will tell you the same thing. So Jake will play a little slot receiver. So TJ will play a little corner. You know, that's a pretty good corner out there. So we're going to do, guys I talked about on the offensive line. The starting defensive line is really our second offensive line, and our starting offensive line is really our backups on defense. So we're kind of going back to that old school mentality where we're going to do what we got to do to win, to give our kids the best chance of being successful. And so it means, and we had to come to Jesus meeting today after practice. It means pushing ourselves a little harder in conditioning. We practice in the afternoon. We literally just got off practice on our way over here. So we practice because we got 3 games in August, and it's going to be hot as Hades out there. So our kids have got to develop that mental toughness to deal with it. And some of these guys, they can play both ways. And so, like you said, it will be running back. I know that's a long-winded answer. They will be running back by committee, but we feel like we got 3 or 4 guys that can really move the chains there.
Coach, you just mentioned 3 games in August, and we talked so much about heat policies and all that, but what are your thoughts on 3 games in August, and can you change that? Should they change it where you're not playing? I know it's kind of, I guess, a calendar thing this year, but should there be 3 games in August, a third of your season?
Yeah, I'll be outspoken. I'm getting to the point where I don't really care. I think it's too much. I don't think we should play till September. I think the championship should be done. I think there's too many teams in the championship. I think we should play 14 games, so a 16-team bracket, and I think we start in the first week of September. That's my own personal opinion, but we're out there with these kids right now when we should be doing 7-on-7s, we should be going to the pool, we should be doing everything. We play a scrimmage in, less than 2 weeks. And we're going to play 3 games in August in the South. So again, I get it. I'm outspoken. That's okay. But I know I'm not going to change anything, but that's my own opinion. I'd rather start in first week of September, or at least one game, one game at best in August. Any more?
One more. TJ, when they were going through the list of all the guys going to play running back, all those guys smiled a little bit when they said all the other positions that you're going to have to play. And he mentioned TJ going to play running back too. You didn't smile.
I mean, I'm going to play wherever Coach Pay puts me and do my best wherever he puts me. So.
It's all about matchups. We got to figure out where to put them.
I was waiting on him to grin like I got to play this.
He's just real serious.
Yeah.
Not really. Not really.
How much of a challenge is it for you to be able, to soak in all that information from all those different positions?
I mean, I've been playing with Blaze since sophomore year, so I feel like I know the playbook pretty well, and I help the young guys also. So.
He knows it. It's some of the stuff. He'd been cross training for years, so most of these guys, we practice both sides. So that the fact that they go into a starting role, there's going to be a learning curve, if you will, for some of the guys. But we got seniors here. They've all been around the program. They know how it works. Anything else? Okay. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Next up, Brentwood Bruins head coach Ryan Crawford. Bruins went 10-2, 4-1 last year in Region 6A. Lost in round 2 to Cane Ridge. He'll be joined on stage by Tank Star, Charlie Harden, Avery Williams, and Jordan Nicholas. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the ever-impressive Coach Ryan Crawford.
Ever impressive, yeah. I don't know if I've ever been described that way. But thanks, Jeremy. Thanks you guys being here tonight. My honor to represent Brentwood High School. This will be my 14th year there. 34 overall, so, but who's counting, right? And we got an extremely challenging schedule this year. We got a great home slate of games with Franklin, Cane Ridge. I tell our seniors all the time, Franklin, Cane Ridge, Centennial, Father Ryan, and Independence at home will be what a great games to have at home, and then a big challenge for us on the road, obviously, when we deal with, we get to go to Ravenwood, great environment over there. So all the Williamson County games are just great environments. It's really fun for our kids to be a part of that. It's fun for our coaches as well, and for our students at all the other schools. The 4 seniors I've got representing us tonight, Tank Star he'll be a 3-way starter. Forrest Tank, wave at him. He'll be a 3-way starter. He just nodded. Wait. He'll be a 3-year starter for us. This year he's going to play primarily defense. Probably we'll play him a little bit on offense when we need him. But returning offensively, we've got 3 interior offensive linemen. Charlie Harden, our center, who will be a 2-year starter for us. Tank, and then another senior named Hunter Harrison. Wide receiver position, we have actually got 3 wide receivers that have offers, so it's going to be a challenge because we only got 1 football to play with. So one of those guys is Avery Williams, started for us last year. Really dynamic and with the deep ball, great screen, great at running the screen as well. Our running backs, Carter McKechnie and Jordan Nicholas, who's here tonight. With Jordan and Carter coming back, it's going to allow us to use Carter more in a wide receiver role this year as compared to last year, so Jordan's carries will go up considerably, hopefully. Chase Bishop's a rising junior that's got a couple of Power 5 offers. We've got a sophomore, Walker Merrill, that's a rising sophomore. He's got a couple of Power 5 offers. as well. We have a quarterback's going to be a competition. We have senior Dylan Stevens, who's really never seen any varsity action. Has been around the program for 4 years. I've been there. This will be my first senior class since coming back that I've had all the way through. And Dylan's really changed his body and worked himself into having a chance to earn that position. The other one is sophomore Cade Granzow, who looks the part, 6'2", 190-pounder, but he's a sophomore. So our quarterbacks will be taking our first snaps of varsity action this fall. The good thing is we were going to surround them with some pretty good skilled people and the interior part of our offensive line. Defensively, we lost 14 of our top 15 tacklers, and that guy, we moved him to offense. So maybe that's what Jeremy's comment meant at the start of it. So we kind of traded up because we lost Cole Mabry. We took Clay McCarty over to offense, where we really need him to show up an offensive tackle spot for us. It allowed us the flexibility to Tank's just very athletic. It moves really, really well. So it's going to give us a chance to use Tank on defense as well. So be a challenge for us to rebuild the defense. Losing that many contributors, and plus not only that, but 36 seniors last year, which is a remarkable number. It's the biggest number I've ever had in my coaching career as an assistant or a head coach. So a lot of good quality kids, but these 25 seniors we have this year have all been a part of our program, have all seen it grow since we got back, and they've all been a big part of growing it since we got back. Not only are we rebuilding defense, we feel like we have some talented kids over there, but our two losses can directly be linked to our kicking game. Our two losses are directly linked to a kicking game. We had a home loss where we had a blocked field goal, scoop and score, and we dropped a punt inside the 10-yard line to set up our opponent in great field position. And then we gave up we missed an extra point and then gave up a fake punt in our playoff loss. So we've got a junior that's really worked hard in Tabor Miller that we think will probably win our kicking job, and it's up to us to do a better job coaching our kids and doing a better job executing that part of it too. So I think it hits you in the face even after all these years. I think the one thing that keeps me coming back is you learn every year. We learned something after Coach Blade and them put us out in the semifinals in what year is this, Joe? This is 18, so that'd be 2016 and -2, right? So we learned something there about our communication on defense. And last year, certainly we had two hard lessons regarding the kicking game in our two losses. So one of the things I think I've enjoyed coming back to Brentwood and being around is Bill Moore, our head baseball coach, who just finished champ and then runner-up this past season. And one of the things he talked about is, we had a bad hangover last year after our second round loss because the expectations were so high. So I think we've approached it a little bit more this year. We want to be the best team that we can be. We want to be the best 2018 Bruins we can be, and try to continue to improve each and every day. Our guys, I love coaching them. I love my school. Our guys work very, very hard. We're pretty selfless, and we look forward to a challenging schedule. And obviously a challenging league as well.
Coach, with the receivers you've got back, how much is the passing game? I mean, if you find the right quarterback, how important could that passing attack be?
Well, I think, interior offensive line and running backs, so I think we will have the ability to stretch the field vertically and horizontally because of the tools that we have there. So hopefully it will create some matchup problems. Hopefully it will create the ability to create running lanes inside for our running backs. So we hope we can, just like any offense you put up here wants to put the defense in dilemma. So you want to be able to call plays and execute the way you want to execute. So I think for us, we're a team that takes the grass. If people are going to load up and come after us, we're going to try to throw it. We think we got good schemes to protect. So I think that the key is going to be keeping them all happy, Tom. They understand we got one football, and we do try to get all our guys a touch early in the game. And then some nights, certain guys have big nights, and then we got a lot of opportunities for big plays throughout the year.
Coach Blade was kind of outspoken about this, but I'll ask you too, because I know you've been around for a while. But 3 games this year in August, hottest month of the year. We talk about a lot about heat index, heat policies. What's your thought of having a 30-year season in the hottest time of the year?
And this is the second time in 6 years, Tom. I mean, we have a lot of heat guidelines and heat policies and procedures that I guess don't curtail the way we train during this time of year, but you're talking about you have June, and then you have a 2-week dead period, and then the week you come back, you're in headgear. So I think it evolves longer than that 3 games of that. If your kids don't condition those 2 weeks, when you come back that first week, July the 9th, I mean, we're just like everybody else. We're on the field. You know, we're getting the ball out. We're lifting, running. They just won't survive it. So I don't think it's good business for our young people. I think all of us as coaches understand now how to take care of players much, much better than the way that we were treated, or mistreated, I should say. No, I'm just kidding. It's different. Our guys are much more knowledgeable about hydrating themselves and fueling their bodies. And I think all of us probably, weigh in before practice, weigh out after practice. And we're always watching their weight to make sure they're hydrated. 3 games in August, you guys know it's too much. I'm not quite as far as Coach Blade because I understand how the calendar works, being a TNFCA board member. But I think Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia, I don't know about Florida, but I know those 3 states start just 1 week later. So if we just started 1 week later, it would be 2 games, with the one being the last day of August. And in some years, it would only be 1 game. That would only back basketball up. That basketball wouldn't have to back up anyway, because it only impacts those basketball teams that have deep playoff runs. So it really wouldn't impact basketball. Anyway, their whole season is based second semester of their winter season is February, March, when district tournament and times roll around. It would not impact baseball by doing that. So it wouldn't impact winter or spring sports by going back 1 more week. Would 1 week help? Yes, it's 1 less week in August. It would help. It would allow us also to back up practice another week, so we give kids a little bit more summer. We're always mindful of how much time we ask of our young people now. So that's one rule, and I'm just like Coach Blade too. We have too many classifications, and I'm on the board of an agency we feel like is going to have the TWSAA's ear. But right now, I think we have too many classifications, and if we just delayed it a week, I think it would benefit everybody involved.
Follow up. When you say delay a week, are you talking about just moving it or giving up the extra a 3rd week of a dead period?
No, we don't want no more dead period. I'm glad for dead period because I coached when there wasn't no dead period, so you went all summer, No, I think leave it, everything it is, just back the calendar up 1 week. So that week when you come back from dead period, you'll be back, no helmets, 2nd week helmets. I think a lot of people today didn't even know what the rule change this year was. Typically, this has been our heat acclimation week, and you could go out in shells. But today and tomorrow is helmets only again. So we always give our guys off that Friday right before we start full gear, and we're going to keep it the same way. So we'll end up going Monday, the 23rd in shells as well, with a scrimmage on July 27th, which that ought to tell you right there, it's starting a little bit early.
Skill guys, what's the offense been like without Shackler back there from a leadership standpoint?
A lot of us had to have to step up, like kind of coach the young guys around, like Cade, sophomore quarterback. We all have to help them, like learn the plays and like kind of teach them everything. And then Dylan's been around since we've been around, and he's kind of helping Cade out too.
Avery and I even had a conversation about that too. I think we got to build those guys' confidence up. And the good thing is we do have experience at receiver, so our quarterbacks shouldn't have to do everything this year. Carson did a lot of things for us in an RPO game and with his feet. So we hope with our running backs and receivers back that it's really a great time to have a young, inexperienced quarterback coming into the season.
Coach, I remember a year ago we came up here and talked about all the pretty much the whole lineup I think were seniors. You knew that was going to be the case all last year. How did you prepare for this year knowing that this past 2017 was going to be a senior-heavy lineup, at least starting lineup?
You know, that's a great question. Every year we go through planning. You know, I think you better worry about the task at hand first. But we do as we go through depth and we look at what it's going to look like next year by each class. We make sure that you know, we can function in our JV games. But really, I mean, I'm not going to get fired on my JV record. It'll be based upon our high school record. So we're mindful of it, Tom. We also try to make sure we are in the player development business. So we tell our guys all the time, and I think Pete Carroll said it, practice is everything. So getting repetitions in practice, getting meaningful opportunities for our younger players in practice. That's why we play JV games in our county. You know, it's tough. Mondays are tough. We play our freshman game at 5:30, our JV game at 7 o'clock, and we can't get a bus to get there and start at 5:30. I don't know why we listed at 5:30, but you know, by the time we start JV, sometimes it's 7:30, 7:45. We play a full game, and it's a rough night on those guys. But I mean, all these guys, except for Tannick, I guess, it went through a JV season, and it's either do that or don't get any reps. So I think being mindful, giving them kids their opportunities when they can get a meaningful rep in a game, just like Lucas Davis, one of our rising junior tackles. We started 2 seniors last year. Well, Cole got hurt and missed a few games toward the end of the year. Lucas was, through JV, getting quality reps in practice, able to step up and play 3 games in a year. Kind of going to propel him into this year. We good? All right, thank you very much. Go Bruins.
The second half to the Battle of the Woods. First half being Brentwood, second half being Ravenwood, led by head coach Matt Daniels. He'll be joined on stage by quarterback Brian Garcia, wide receiver Anthony Holmes, Graham Barton, and Reagan Carlson. 10-3, 4-1, 6A, Region 6, 6A champions last year. Please welcome to the stage head coach Matt Daniels.
Thanks, Jeremy. This is actually my first WCS Media Day, even though it's my second year as head coach. Last year, it happened to fall on the weekend that we were heading to Kentucky to do a sleepaway camp and do some team bonding. So I missed out last year, and I'm very glad to be here this evening representing not only Ravenwood High School, but Williamson County and what I think is one of the toughest regions in 6A football in Tennessee, Region 6, 6A. So very glad to be here. Kind of from an outsider's and media perspective, a very opposite year this year than last year. I think last year Ravenwood was kind of in the unknown and lacking in expectations. You know, I know we were picked to finish 5th in the region last year, and again, kind of from the outsider's perspective, things were not looking great. Internally, obviously, we had a different belief in ourselves, and that kind of showed last year. We were able to fight through and make that come to fruition in a very successful year. You know, ending with a tough loss to Cane Ridge, we felt like we have some unfinished business coming into this year. So now from an outsider's perspective this year, I think the expectations have been raised. But again, compared to our internal expectations last year, nothing's changed for us. We think we're a great bunch of players, and we think we're a great bunch of coaches, and nothing's changed as far as internal expectations. And what I've learned in being at Ravenwood for 2 years, 1 year as an assistant, is the expectations are always a state championship at Ravenwood. And in the 17 years that the school's been in existence, they've been fortunate enough to play in multiple state championship games and win several. So these kids know the tradition of Ravenwood football, and they embody that. And the guys we have on stage are a great representation of all of our players. They're just great teammates. They're great in the community, and they're fun to be around. So from left to right, I know we mentioned the names before, but so the media can put a name to the face. We've got Brian Garcia
He's a junior returning starter quarterback. We've got Graham Barton. He's a junior returning starter right tackle. We've got Reagan Carlson. He's a senior returning starter on the defensive line, and he's actually getting some looks on the offensive line this year as well. And then we've got senior returning starter Anthony Holmes. Last year, Anthony lined up in the backfield, lined up in the slot, and kind of all over in our dynamic offense. We could use him in a number of different ways. He'll be a little bit more consistently lining up in the slot this year, kind of taking Andrew Mason's place. We're moving Andrew Mason outside to outside wide receiver. He's got some significant speed that we like to take advantage of out there. Graham is one of 2 returning starters on the offensive line. We actually lose our 3 interior offensive linemen, which is a pretty big deal. You've got a returning starter at quarterback, so anytime you have to establish a new battery, a new center, and then of course the guards around him, that's a difficult thing. So we brought Reagan over to the offensive side. Reagan is one of the most unselfish players I've ever been around. He truly embodies the coach, I will play wherever you want me to play. And he's been doing that so far for us this year, lining up at center and guard, and then of course still getting his defensive end reps. We've got a great rotation at defensive end. We've got a couple of returning starters that are only juniors. Luke Schaus, he's just about 6'7", 245 pounds, has an offer from Cincinnati. Only played in about half the games last year because he had a shoulder issue. So we're expecting big things out of Luke Schaus. We also returned Brian Rice on the defensive line. One of those guys that you wonder where he gets his energy. His motor never stops, and if you've watched him play or watched him practice in a game, there's actually no difference. You would think it was a region championship game every time Brian Rice takes a field in practice. It's pretty unbelievable, and it makes everybody around him better, especially on the offensive side of the ball when you have to go up against that in practice every day. So outlook this year, like I said, we're extremely excited. We're going to embrace the high expectations that we believe now are outside of the program for us. But, we know that every year is different. I think about the other teams in our region, and you look at returning starters and things like that, and you just never know. A football season can go a number of different ways, whether it's injuries and, weather. We played in 2 horrible hurricane, conditions last year, and we were fortunate enough to, take care of the football, but things could have gone differently for us, and one fumble here or there, and your whole season can change. And I think we embrace that, and we understand that just because we had a successful season last year doesn't mean that that's automatically going to happen this year. So we understand what we need to work for.
Coach, I think last year used couple quarterbacks. I think Stalkup took some snaps. He had Garcia. How much does that help Brian? Where kind of transition him into his role, what his role ended up being, and how much has he grown this year?
Yeah, I talked a lot last year. Nick Stalkup and Brian Garcia's relationship was pretty cool to watch, and it was very, very selfless on both of their parts because they're competitors. And when you line up at quarterback, guys in high school, guys in college, guys in the pros, at every level. If you're the quarterback, I mean, you want to be the man, and to be able to share that with somebody else. Nick, as a senior, that was tremendous on his part, and his leadership in how he brought Brian along was pretty cool to watch. And I do think that helped Brian kind of step into his role last year, alleviated a lot of pressure for a sophomore quarterback. I know Brian has heard this term over and over in his life, undersized. I don't think about that anymore. I still have several people comment like, "Hey, where's your quarterback?" And he's right there in front of him. And Brian's been one of those guys where that's just never mattered in his life. And we joke all the time about, he's taken over for Nick in the running game as well. Brian, he wants to run with the ball as well, and he's a sneaky athlete. I know a couple of the camps that he was at this year, he clocked a couple low 4.8 40s, and I don't think anyone would have guessed that. He's also a tough runner. He's savvy. He knows how to fall. He knows how to take a hit. So, now we think we've got 2-1 with Brian coming into this year.
And Brian, just talk about what you learned last year, and what is your height and weight right now?
5'10".
Weight?
150.
And what did you learn from last year? I mean, being, in the backfield as a sophomore. What did you learn from Nick?
It was just a lot quicker, like in freshman ball and a couple of the JV games. Like you could wait a little bit longer for a route to get open. And Nick and Coach just really emphasized that every route has to be on time, or with the teams we play, we're not going to be very successful.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of our young guys notice is that the speed of the game is just different from whether it's the jump from freshman to JV or from freshman to varsity. And that's what's been pretty impressive about our young group. We ended up starting 7 sophomores last year, and for them, it seemed like the speed of the game wasn't different. There was just something about the way they were able to make that transition. Having guys like Anthony and Reagan, and you mentioned Nick Stallcup, and we had a slew of seniors on the defensive side of the ball that really kind of embraced those young guys and knew they were going to be contributors. So they helped them absolutely kind of adjust to that speed of the game. That was pretty cool to watch.
Coach, do you expect that participation from the sophomores last year, and is that what gave you high expectations this year? Because you knew you had some young people that maybe other people didn't know that you had?
Yeah, we've had a belief in every time we see a new class come in, we understand the level of athleticism, and that sophomore class has kind of always been put on this pedestal. So we knew we had some talent there, but you never know until the lights come on Friday night. And I think people could see Jordan Smith, the running back, the first couple times he got the opportunity to show what he could do with the ball in his hands. I think Brian's first ever varsity pass last year was a touchdown against Centennial late in the fourth quarter when we needed a spark. And when you have some success like that early, that's kind of when that potential meets opportunity, and those guys really took advantage of that.
You talk about outsiders didn't have great expectations for you this year. I mean, a lot of people expect you guys to win the region. I mean, what does that like this time around, whereas maybe you guys expected yourself to win it last year, now everyone expecting you guys to win it this year?
Right. I think that's the expectation for these guys every year, and I think almost they feel like they earned that last year. So I think they're completely embracing that. We've got our sights set on things beyond the region championship. So that's one of those things too that helps manage those expectations. Is last year was a very tough end of the season. You can never really, forget a type of loss like we had to Cane Ridge. Ron was talking about the kicking game, and the kicking game won us a bunch of games throughout the year. Special teams was one of our high points, and then of course it ended up being, a really tough situation for us, and one of many reasons that Cane Ridge loss went, the wrong way towards the end, but. I think these guys have their sights set on something very big this year, so that's helping.
Coach, you guys have lost a lot of talented players on defense. Who do you guys expect to step up this year? Where are going to be some of y'all's big strengths on that side of the ball?
The defensive line is hands down our biggest strength on that side of the ball. With Reagan and Luke and Brian Rice, we've also got a senior, Brandon Carver, who got a lot of time at nose tackle and at the 3-tech, and he's one of the most skilled technicians with his hands and feet on the defensive line. So the D-line is going to be our anchor for sure. We've got a couple young, talented, athletic linebackers, but we're having to replace Anthony McCarthy and Mason Stauffer, Brandon Huff. I mean, these guys had darn near 380 tackles, of our entire team's tackles. So, of course, McCarthy is very difficult to replace. So it's going to be by committee. We love some of the talent and speed in our defensive backfield, but complete inexperience. So that's going to be something that Coach Fowler, our defense coordinator, takes pride in getting those guys ready. He loves a challenge. He's a very cerebral guy, and he's going to find ways to get those guys ready. But our biggest concern is replacing our back 7. We actually graduated our top 6 defensive backs and our top 3 linebackers.
Coach, 2-part question, first for you and then for the players. I think you kind of helped bring some stability in the program. You had you were 3rd coach in 3 years last year. What does it mean for this program to have the same guy at the top for the 2nd year in a row, or kind of get some things back on track?
Yeah, I think kind of without knowing it, everybody just kind of breathes a sigh of relief, and experiencing continuity at Ravenwood is a unique thing. Apparently, is what I'm learning. So that's kind of fun to bring that, and with the staff, we've had a few fluctuations this year, but in terms of the core staff, we've got the same guys in place as well that have started to build these really good relationships with the kids. So I would just say I was talking to some reporters outside and just said, routine is such an important part of athletics and high school students in general. So establishing a routine with the same coaching staff, with that continuity is vital. And I think we're going to see the fruits of that this year.
And players, I mean, to have the same head coach for the second year in a row, that's got to, after what you guys have been through the last couple of years, how much you guys looking forward to that? And I know, Brian, I mean, you're just a junior, you're probably just know Coach Daniels, but just what kind of stability does this help you guys when you kind of see that you're not having to go through see who your head coach is going to be this year?
Yeah, it's nice to have the same coach multiple years because, like he said, routine. It's just nice not being able to guess what you're doing every day because we have certain types of practices like Monday through Thursday. They're a little different each day, and it's just nice to have the same routine over and over again.
And I'm going to have Reagan and Anthony kind of answer this because part of the situation at Ravenwood too is the Nolensville split, and these guys, are guys that chose to stay at Ravenwood and endure some of that up and down, over the last 3 years. And if maybe Anthony and Reagan can talk about what it means to be a senior at Ravenwood and go through some of those changes.
Right. Definitely like what you said, the Nolensville class split. That was kind of big because it was our class that split. The guys that are up here were good friends of ours. We played with them, but I think we stayed knowing that we just thought there was a brighter future at Ravenwood. It's a powerhouse football school that we wanted to help be the face of the team, help lead us to another state championship. And our sophomore year, we had another head coach. He left, and our junior year, we got Coach Daniels. And just having him stay to us is big because it's the same energy in the locker room. We don't have to change everything. We know what he expects. We know what we expect as a team, and it just helps us go out and practice and do what we got to do today, get the job done.
Yeah, like Anthony said, it just helps us stay focused on playing football so we don't have to deal with more coaches coming in, coming out, and it just helps us focus on playing the game rather than everything around us.
Minimizing distractions.
Coach, what's your next week? What's your schedule like next week?
Next week we're actually switching to the afternoons. Guys before me have talked about the heat. There's really no avoiding it. Going in the mornings, it starts off, you get a little cool breeze, and then all of a sudden the clouds break, and things heat up really fast, and it gets pretty humid very quickly. So just for the sake of the coaches and the players getting in, as we mentioned, the routine of what's the school day going to look like. So we're moving to the afternoon, to the about 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock time frame with our practices next week. Our first scrimmage is against Rossview. I think we said today it was 11 days away. So, something nice to look forward to. We've got a couple of 7-on-7s in between now and then. We've got BGA. We're going to do a 3-way with BGA and Hillsborough over at BGA, and then talk to Coach Woods after the dust settled last year, and they're coming over to our place, Cane Ridge, to do a 7-on-7 on Thursday. So that'll be fun to compete with those guys again. Any more questions? Thank you guys so much.
Last but not least, we're almost on time. We're close. Make sure you go get food. Dr. Defense himself, Donnie Webb, Franklin High School Rebels, you're on the clock.
All right, best thing about getting to go last is I can say whatever I want to say. You just want to get out of here and no one will remember what was said. Or if you want to, you can tweet it to my new Twitter handle, Shotgun5Wide, since we've left the option and we're throwing it everywhere now. So I'm just messing around here, but in all seriousness, I'm going to introduce these 4 young men. These are all 4 seniors that'll be on our football team. Obviously, have been in our program, and this will be their 4th year. On the far left is Jonah Albert. I'm going to just quickly touch on what they're doing. Right now, he's got a spot in my heart because when coach has to come to you and ask you about doing things what's best for the team, and he's doing that right now. He was an outside linebacker, wore number 36 last year, and so obviously if he's wearing 63, where are we moving him to? So, and without hesitation, he wants to get on the field, he wants to play, and and do what's best for the football team. So that's Jonah Albert. Next is Jack Ray. Jack, obviously I already said they're all seniors. Jack started the last 2 football games last year in the offensive line and was the first backup. Obviously, but actual starts was the last two ball games of the year last year. And I found out Franklin High School is right behind Maryville on a win streak right now. So y'all didn't know that, did you? It's Maryville and Franklin High. So we're on a 2-game win streak. But Jack's been a leader in the weight room, working hard, and obviously going to be leaned on in the offensive line. Next to him is Kenai Kelton. Kenai plays inside linebacker, and we're also playing him at some B-back, running back in the backfield. Kenai is a returning starter. This will be his 3rd year as a starter. I'd technically call him a starter his sophomore year. Mitch Rossi technically went out there and started most of the games, right? But actual playing time, it was Kenai, and it was allowing us to let Mitch, if you remember Mitch play, and we were running the triple option, and obviously he was carrying the football 3/4 of the carries almost, and so Kenai was a starter basically back then all the way as a sophomore, and really proud. Kenai's grown up, and I say that tongue in cheek, but seriously, Kenai knows when I'm messing with him because he's come a long way, man. Me and him, we used to tangle with Kenai, and that shows you his character that he's still sitting here and wants to be a part of it, and I'm really proud of him. Looking for great things out of him this year. Obviously, as he'll be him and the one beside him were our leading tacklers last year, and obviously playing the inside linebacker where Kenai is. And then the other is Matt Gaka. Matt is he's a returning 2-way starter. He started at safety at what we call our bandit position. From there, he's also the 3rd leading tackler on the team. I mean, because when you say defensive back, the first thing we do, how many interceptions he's got. Well, really, we want to, if you're going to play safety, we want to know how many tackles you got because, as Coach Crawford would tell you, who was up here earlier, everybody's playing a too-high scheme, and you got to have a safety that's willing to come down to the box and make tackles, and that's Matt. And then on the offensive side, he was a little bit under 1,000 yards for the year. I don't have it in front of me. I guess about, 938? You probably know exactly, don't you?
Yeah, it's like 930.
Matt's not shy of knowing what it is, but he's going to, we in the past have platooned most of our players. As you understand, one side of the ball or the other. Matt's not allowing us to do that. Kenai would play more defensively first, but he's really helped us. We've noticed in the spring and being able to move over onto the offensive side of the ball and do some things as well. We feel like at our school right now, we looked at ourselves in the mirror and we're not at a spot where we were 2 or 3 years ago, where we can put 11 on offense and then we put 11 on defense. So we've got them all flip-flopping. Now, obviously they've got a priority position and where I told you all of them is their priority first, but Matt's going to have to carry the football in what we're doing offensively. We are still running the triple option. We've changed it from there. We're opening it up a little bit. I love defense more than anything, and I almost hate to join the dark side of the RPO world. And because technically that's what triple option is. You know, when we had Joe Critchlow at quarterback, all you guys remember, we were still running the same thing we call Cincy Bengals, the same thing we call Green Bay. It was just with Joe, we threw it this way instead of pitching it backwards. And then we had those two little scat backs at quarterback and some that couldn't throw it from me to Tom. And so we began pitching it backwards. So, you know, and then we became dark age people. We didn't know what we were doing because we were pitching it backwards. And so these guys are hearing the same plays. It's just we have joined into the RPO part of the triple option part of it. From there, defensively, we're still in the 3-4. And what I am excited about, you know, obviously we got to win some games in the county. You know, there's no doubt about it. You know, we went last and we finished last year, you know, and we know it. But at the same point, we played some pretty good defense at times. It's no knock on, it's a knock on ourselves. We all looked in the mirror. We could not move the football. And so we had to look ourselves in the mirror, and we're going to find ways to move it a different way because we feel like we got a chance to be pretty good defensively with 8 of those guys returning as starters. You can almost say 14 that played lots of playing time, but would not have ever gotten a starting position on the defensive side of the ball. Now, offensively, we only have 3 starters back, and so it was a good spot for us to go back to what we were doing a few years ago, and we feel like that fits our quarterbacks. And quite honestly, with Matt right here, I mean, he's going to have to, and I'm not worried about his toughness, but he'll be a good zone back, very similar to the backs that we had when Joe was back there before. Any questions you want of these guys, these young men right here, or anywhere else you want me to go? That's how we'll do it. One last thing, and then I'll hit. Probably my biggest concern, I'm really excited about is offensively and defensively. I really am. You know I'm joking. We are going to throw the football a little bit more. We've been joking when you say Coach Webb and 5 wide. I get it. But what probably my biggest concern is our punter's now going to be punting at UT Martin and Landon Carter, and our kicker could have, if that's what he wanted to do, would be place kicking somewhere in college as well, and Christopher Miller Hill. And so if we do play good defense, we've got to find some kickers to, you know, and some guys to step up, because in this league, most everybody's starting on the 20-yard line.
Coach, was it hard saying RPO?
Very. No.
I mean, are we talking more shotgun? I mean, what's going to for the casual fan, what's going to look different on offense? How are you guys doing?
Everything very much a little bit more tight end oriented, but at the same time, you know, we've been shotgun option. We've been shotgun triple now for essentially, we were half and half 3 years ago, and in the last 2 years, we got to the point last year it was 85% we were in the shotgun. And so we've been shotgun triple. And so that part of it, we just lined up. You took a huddle clip, it'll look exactly the same. If you took a huddle clip of the name of the play, it would look exactly the same. All we've done now is we're going to set that guy instead of bringing him. We're still going to bring him in some motion because we're still going to run a triple option. And the reason I believe that is being a defensive guy, defensive-minded person, is that everybody wants to drop all these exotic blitzes and have all this fun time running blitzing here and blitzing there, but when you play an option team, they don't do it because they want to make sure they got dive quarterback pitch. They stop. You know, it's like, okay, they calm down. And so that's why we're still staying with it. However, you'll see more of the RPO coming off instead of the pitch back like we've done in the past.
I had stepped out for you. Who's going to be throwing the ball?
We had hoped for a quarterback competition. We've got a little injury that's already happened to us, so that'll back it up a little bit. But Josh Nichols has been taking the majority of the snaps to this point. And Connor Bevan, a sophomore, was taking them with him, but he's got a little elbow issue that's come up on him, and so it's kind of backed him up a little bit. He'll be fine, and he'll be ready to go once it goes. But with that saying, what we think we're doing, and I'm going to put a lot of weight on this kid right here to my first left, is, you know, you're going to see formations where 2 4s at quarterback, and we're doing the same thing He'll have to tell you if he can throw or not. So, and so we're doing the same type of stuff with the options and the read options, and allow him to basically run the football from there as well.
For you guys, last year, tough year. Get towards the end, and all of a sudden, here's a win, here's another win. Now you're on a 2-game win streak. Does that kind of take care of all the prior and put you on the right frame of mind and right track for this year? Is that a good launching point for this year, guys?
Whoever wants it, grab it. All right.
I would say it would. I mean, I think those last 2 games we finally figured out, we finally figured out how to really play really good offense and defense, and play a whole game pretty much. What Coach Owen always tells us, you gotta win every special teams, offense and defense to win the game. And we finally all put it together. And I think we finally got rid of all our issues early in the season. And those last 2 games really showed what we can do. And a lot of momentum going into the next season.
Anybody else want to add to it?
I think also, like you said, pretty tough season last year. And so by the end of it, we all realized that we were just playing to play games. And so we were kind of able to just put the records out of our mind and just go play football. And so I think that helped kind of bring the team together in a way, and was an important way to finish out the season.
Coach, what did you find out about yourself and your program and your coaching staff when you have a rough season like 2017?
I'm glad I'm still married. No, she's the one. She's the one that gets the blunt of it, because she, in all honesty, what was so unique about that is I did a stat, and I know you can do whatever you want with stats. I've coached before where I went 1-9 one time as a head football coach, and I needed to do something positive, and so I went and found those kids that we were actually rushing the ball on first down for 4-point-something yards, and so, but why were we rushing the ball so well? Dave may not know that, but it was because the backups were in, because we were getting our tails handed to us. But I was finding stats, so I understand that with stats, you can do whatever you want to with them and try to move things around. But I think if you actually look and go in conference games, and I wish I'd have brought it because this popped up right here. Yeah, y'all remember when I had y'all come in, and I had Coach Holcomb they had numbers on the board, and it was called point differential. Points given up, obviously, to points scored, and I only did in conference games. Obviously, they all picked out one team very easy, and it's not a knock on them. They just struggled last year. They all immediately picked out who, I didn't have names of teams, but I said plus 38, plus, minus whatever. And then there was only 2 teams that were negative point differential in conference games, and it wasn't Franklin. We were actually what? Do you remember? We were plus 11, and we were actually 3rd. And so what does that say? I mean, like I said, once again, you can do whatever you want to with stats. You can do what you want to. We were in every football game, but we couldn't find a way to win. And then I believe as we grew on, a lot of it was our chemistry that was in our football team that we just didn't realize until, my football coach, who's passed away now, Coach Counts would have told me it was cancer and it needs to be cut out. And the head didn't break out until it was too late. I mean, they're sitting there 14-10 to Brentwood, and we just couldn't finish it. 13-10 to Ravenwood, we just couldn't finish it. And so that's their goal, is to move. I think Centennial was, when the clock went out, there was we actually had to leave with a minute and something left when the clock went out, and we lose, essentially 4 seconds to play, but they're losses now, and we got to find a way to win and win those in-county games, and so that's what I would say we're finding out about most of us. Now, are we going to be men enough to, because we're still going to be facing, there's nobody else in this room just came up here, and it's going to face the conference itself, and then they're going to face Oakland High School, and they're going to face Riverdale High School, and and put it up there, and then I think we let that snowball on us last year, because we were sitting right there, and then we let it snowball and it got worse. So, did we grow from it? We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out.
Players have asked several of these. First day in full pads is Monday. What do you guys like the most about the first day in pads? And then the flip side, what do you like? What do you dislike the most about the first day in pads?
First of all, I mean, it goes without saying it's really hot, and you got to drink a lot of water and just kind of get your body right for when you go through the heat, because nothing can prepare you for that. And then what's best about it is really you get to really start to fully compete with your teammates. First time since spring practice, so it's been a while since we put on the pads and kind of hit each other and really go full on competition.
I mean, we definitely all want to hit out there, and we have some spots on our team right now where we're not really too sure about like who's going to be in the spots. We definitely need the competition and step up, and we got to see players go after each other and just fill in those spots and get our team where it needs to be.
Dislikes. Running in pads. Running in pads is awful. I mean, competition is great. You know, we all love that. So putting on pads is like the best time of our lives, and we're waiting for it in Oklahoma drills and just getting back out there and playing football.
Yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of times out there, especially in the heat, it feels like you can't put water in your body fast enough because it's coming out so fast. But I mean, you know, when people look back on their high school football careers or college or whatever, that's the thing they miss is hitting. And, you know, like these guys said, just taking the competition to that next level and really getting to play.
Coach, what's your preseason schedule? What practice Monday? What time Monday?
Oh, Monday? Yeah. Well, we'll actually, just so you know, we'll actually be, they don't know it yet, but we'll actually be in helmets, shoulder pads, and shorts Monday, because very similar to I heard Coach Crawford, I always give them off the Friday. If I give them a schedule in, like a lot of these guys do, but I give them a schedule, gosh, it was in March probably, when we try like crazy not to change it and adjust on them, and we give them the Friday off before we start full pads. But with that new rule where we had to go helmets today, helmets tomorrow, and then 3, obviously we'll only get 2 in this week, so we'll get our 3rd one in on Monday.
So that means you can't practice, you can't scrimmage until Friday?
No, because we'd still get Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
Okay.
and then yeah, I'm sorry, I beat you to the punch.
Yeah.
And then we have a scrimmage Friday. Now, we're in a different, we're blessed, you know, sometimes I need to remember that. We're very blessed in the little problem we're doing. We were supposed to have a home scrimmage with Blackman on Friday. If we do, we'll be without end zones and in a construction zone since our field is not completed, so I'm having to revamp. We'll have to go on the road for all our, and once again, we're blessed in what we're getting in that new field. But to answer your question, we're in the mornings. We're doing essentially 7 to 11. They're going to be there, but the freshmen are with us at first. Then we're going to leave, go inside, and then we're going out without any gear on, just for an hour, and then send them home. In Monday through Wednesday, and then we have a Thursday. I backed it up, but it's all in the morning. Is that it? Appreciate you guys, and appreciate y'all. I do. I'm sure they've told you this 1,000 times and y'all ready to go home, but I'm one of the older ones now. And when the Tennessee Titans, which I love them, and they do a great job with high school football, but when they came to town, they started cutting coverage instead for high school, instead of, because you had to take care of those guys. And I get it, I get it. And so I appreciate anything y'all are doing for high school football, because most of these guys ain't gonna play on Saturdays, and very little obviously are gonna play on Sundays. And so I appreciate y'all taking the time tonight, and appreciate y'all a lot. And you tell me, if I ever am rude to you, unless we just got beat by Brentwood, and then give me a breather, and then. But I promise you, I appreciate you guys. All right, thank y'all.
Coach Will was worried about not going very long, and he actually went longer than anybody else. But I do want to say, piggyback off of what he said, I sincerely, greatly appreciate each and every one of you. We're all on a first name basis. We all know each other well. I greatly appreciate your support of our teams, coverage of our teams. It means a lot to us. Thanks for coming out. I also want to say, on behalf of all our 9 coaches, we have the 9 of the greatest men to lead our young men into battle, and I greatly appreciate each of those 9 coaches. So we've got plenty of food. Go eat up if you haven't eaten up. We've got make sure you get your media guides. If you need anything from me, just let me know. Thanks for coming.